So today we will see mathematical modeling in design. So the learning objective today is how mathematical modeling can be used in the design process, or how do mathematics and physics become a part of the design process. So that is the learning objective. So what is a mathematical model? So a representation in mathematical terms of the behavior of real devices and objects. So where do we need this mathematical modeling? Mathematical modeling is required everywhere. Everywhere in the sense, say for example, you want to build something, you want to construct something. So using the mathematical modeling, or in the previous classes, in earlier classes, we have identified the difference between science, engineering, and technology. Do you remember that? What is science? What is engineering? What is technology? Can anybody say? First of all, what is science? If you remember, can you say what is science? Anybody? Study of environment, yes, exactly. Srived, study of environment. Yeah, we observe the nature, isn't it? Say, for example, Newton's laws of motion or law of conservation of energy. No, these are all true, real facts, which is there in the which is present in the universe, which is present in the environment. So, how do we use this? See, for example, law of conservation of energy. When an energy which is converted from one form to static energy, when it is converted into kinetic energy, the energy is conserved. Or the law of conservation of mass is conserved. Even if it changes its form, it is conserved. Or law of conservation of momentum. You have studied this in plus 2 classes of physics. Law of conservation of momentum. When two particles collide, the momentum, total momentum, which is the product of mass and velocity, is conserved. These are all study of nature or observation of nature, because when we study the natural phenomena, we get to know like what is happening there, what is the truth, what is the law, what is the fundamental theory behind it. Then we use this theory, when we use this study in our domain, that is engineering. Say for example, when we use in computer technology, which uses a lot of semiconductors. So the study of semiconductors, study of silicon, study of germanium, its property, how it conducts current, how it behaves at various temperature, at various situations when the external parameters change. That is actually engineering. So where we use this, so when we use the semiconductor, when we use the silicon, and it has inherent properties with that, and when we use the silicon to build a semiconductor, the so-called semiconductor, that is engineering. So finally, computer technology involves, it's a collection of similar technologies in a particular field, computer technology or aviation technology, isn't it? So where do we need mathematical modeling? Say for example, when you want to build a car, mathematical modeling is required, in the sense what is the maximum speed at which a vehicle can move. Or say for example, a tire, you are using a particular tire, what is the maximum pressure that can be inserted in the tire. So if you exceed the pressure, if you exceed the limit, normally something, some unwanted incident will happen, some explosion might happen, or there is a maximum speed at which a vehicle can move. So if it exceeds that maximum speeds, so there is some issues will happen. So how do we decide this is the maximum speed at which a vehicle can move, this is the maximum tire, the maximum pressure a tire can sustain? Of course, we use them laws of physics, laws of mathematics, isn't it? So it depends upon various fact parameters, the type of material used for building the tire, and the thickness of the tire, and the pressure inside, the pressure outside, the temperature inside, temperature outside, isn't it? And the speed at which the tire rotates, or that is the speed at which the vehicle moves. Based on all these parameters, we can have certain equations, and then we will identify. Now there one variable will be, say for example, we want to find out what is the maximum speed. So there will be one variable, say x, that is the maximum speed at which the tire can rotate, the car can move. So we can solve these equations, because there will be certain there will be many things which are known, See, for example, the temperature may be known, or we will, or the maximum, we will assume that this is the maximum speed, say 70, 80, 90, 100 kilometers per hour. That is the maximum speed at which it can rotate, it can move. So we will make certain assumptions, and there will be certain known facts, because the climate in Kerala or climate in India, that's a known fact. There is a range at which the climate can vary, isn't it? So in mathematical modeling, what I mean to say, there will be unknown parameters, there will be known parameters, there will be assumptions, isn't it? So based on, and we use the law of energy, we use the study of environment, we use the laws of physics to identify certain things. Say when we build an aeroplane, isn't it? What is the maximum speed at which an aeroplane can move? How do we decide? Of course, through mathematical modeling. And what is the design of the aeroplane? What is the shape of the aeroplane? How do we decide? What is the size of the wing? Different aeroplanes will have different wings of different sizes. How do we decide that? Okay, this is a particular size. This is a shape, isn't it? This is the inclination from the horizontal. All those things are, the result of mathematical modeling. So did you get some basic idea? All of you give some feedback. Did you understand? Yes, Ranjul, yes, he's telling yes. Don Maria, Anupama, yes. Sneha, yes. Suraj, Srived, everybody is saying, okay, thank you. So what I mean to say, mathematical modeling is important. So without mathematical modeling, without applying the principle of physics, without applying the principle of mathematics, without applying the principle of mechanics, depending upon the domain, because without applying the principle of aerodynamics, without applying Bernoulli's theorem, we cannot think of these aeroplanes and all. So everywhere, some mathematical, that what I mean, without modeling, we cannot build an aeroplane. I cannot construct a tire, make an aeroplane, or make any engine part. These are all easy to cite or easy to understand. That is why I take the example of tire and all those stuff. If you look at any part, there is an underlying principle behind that. There is a threshold, like what is the maximum, what is the minimum, what is the average, what is the ideal condition at which that should be operated. What is the maximum temperature? What is the maximum pressure? There is a limit, no? For anything and everything, there is a limit. So when we say mobile phones are water resistant, isn't it? What is the maximum depth? What is the maximum depth? So if I put my mobile phone into water of height, maybe 1 feet, 2 feet, will it be water resistant? If I throw it in sea, or if I throw it in a river, which maybe 1 kilometer depth of water, will it still be water resistant? Chances are less, because there is a maximum limit at which the pressure of the water which the mobile can sustain. There is a limit. So when it goes beyond the limit, say 1 kilometer, so when the mobile phone is thrown to water resource of 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers height, something like a river, something like a pond or ocean, what happens? So we can predict like what will happen. So that prediction, how that prediction is possible, say a particular mobile phone, how that prediction is possible. So what is the maximum temperature? See, what is the maximum temperature this mobile phone can sustain? What is the maximum temperature at which this laptop can be operated on? There is a prediction, or there is an exact limit the manufacturer will tell exactly like this is. So how does the manufacturer know this? That's a fundamental question. Based on mathematical modeling, based on solving certain equations, based on other parameters, external parameters and internal parameters, because always external parameters are important where we work, isn't it? So the climate in India, climate in USA, climate in some other country, European countries or African countries, they are totally different. So one device, one object which operates in one condition might not be behaving exactly same in another condition. So what I mean to say, when the external parameters changes. So in mathematical modeling, how do we represent these external parameters as variables? Say for example, X denotes pressure, Y denotes temperature, Z denotes humidity, and P, Q, R, so many other variables. And some assumptions, we will assume something. You say for example, the population in Kerala. So we have some figure right now, but when we construct something, say we for example, we are constructing a dam, isn't it? The government is planning to construct a dam so that the electrical needs of the people of Kerala are met or satisfactorily met. So, what is the population right now? This is the population. So, but this dam is constructed not for 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, 10 year. It should last for say decades. So, obviously, what would be the population say after 10 years, 15 years? In Kerala, what would be the population? So we will have some assumptions. So if the population growth, the rate of population growth is has been observed as so and so for the last few years. So based on that, this will be the prediction. So we will predict that this will be the population, say 2030, this will be the population. So this will be the population. So that way we can use this mathematical modeling. So what I mean to say, mathematical modeling is quite important in engineering. So that is the basis. I think you got the basis of mathematical. You got the importance of. Did you get it? I think you got it. No, you got the importance of mathematical modeling. Yes, you got it. So we'll move on. So definition of mathematical model. So what is a mathematical model? A representation in mathematical terms of the behavior of real devices or objects. How real devices are objects. Then why do we do mathematical modeling? And mathematical modeling and the scientific method. So for example, look at this. And this is an elementary depiction of the scientific method. So there you have two things, the real world and the conceptual world, isn't it? The real world is the environment. The real world is the universe where we observe things and where we have the science. And the conceptual world is where we deal with, where the engineers deal with, where we want to build a new car, new model of a car, new aeroplane, is a new model of a particular device, new mobile phone. So that is the conceptual world. So the real world, conceptual world. So look at the conceptual world. There you have observations. Observations are taken from the real world. You observe things, how a particular object behaves, isn't it? How something behaves. Because when we build a new item, obviously we will have to take some feedback from the existing things. When a mobile phone, when we build a new mobile phone, we'll have to observe how the existing models behave. Observations. Then based on the observation, we will have certain models, a new model, because we want to build a new mobile phone, a new aeroplane, new car, new tire, whatever. So a new model of that. So that includes analysis. Then and that model will have certain predictions. Okay, this is what it is going to do. This is the maximum temperature. This is the pressure. This is the maximum output it will be able to give, isn't it? Then those predictions, again, it is connected to the real world. How? Because those predictions we should verify. What the model suggests, we should be able to verify by doing a lot of other exercises, other experiments, isn't it? So empirical study based on experience and experience and experiment. Those feedback we need. Then again, if we want to modify something, again we will modify our model. That is why this is actually something like a loop. So again, it comes back to the real world. From the real world, it goes to the conceptual world, where we'll have model, where we'll have evaluation of the model, and where we'll have the verification of the predictions given by the model. And if it is okay, we'll go with the model and we will construct this. Okay, particular mobile phone is particular tire, that particular design. So we are planning to construct or manufacture a tire which will give maximum mileage. Obviously, people are interested in mileage, or how many kilometers it supports or it lasts, say 50,000 kilometers or 60,000 kilometers. So one type of tire which will run for 70,000 kilometers or 1 lakh kilometers for a particular type of car. So how do we arrive at such a conclusion? How do we arrive at such a prediction? Because we have a mathematical model of the tire. And we can run, as I told earlier, we consider all the parameters, all the internal parameters, external parameters, the type of make, the material, and the design. Of course, the design of the tire. If I want to make some modification, yes, do that. And the internal parameter, external parameters, maximum threshold value, minimum value, all those things we consider. And this is the scientific study. This is the scientific method where models are quite important. So in the elementary picture, we identify a real world and a conceptual world. The external world is the one we call real And here we observe various phenomena and behaviors, whether natural in origin or produced by artifacts. The conceptual world is a world of the mind, where we live and we try to understand what is going on in that real external world. The conceptual world can be viewed as having three stages: observation, modeling, and prediction. This I told. In the observation part of the scientific method, we measure what is happening in the real world, how things are actually happening, how things behave, how various objects, various artifacts, various say for example, how the speed of the light, speed of a sound. That is, they are all known facts that will not change. And then here we gather empirical evidence. Observation may be direct, as when we use our senses, yes, or indirect, in which case some measurements are taken to indicate that an event has taken place. Sometimes it may not be direct. Say, for example, we often know a chemical reaction has taken place only by measuring the product of that reaction. So H2 plus O2, H2 plus O2 would give you water. H2 plus O2 would give you hydrogen peroxide also, isn't it? So what is the equation of hydrogen peroxide? You have studied physics, no? What is the formula hydrogen peroxide? Anybody remembers? H2O2. Yes, Sharath is telling, Shraddha is telling H2O2. Exactly. So same hydrogen, same oxygen at different conditions, at different external conditions, when they are combined together, and it will give different molecules. So how then how do we identify whether it is water resulting or whether it is hydrogen peroxide resulting? Because of by measuring, we test for, we'll conduct some experiment to check for the presence of water, to check for the presence of hydrogen peroxide, and thereby we will confirm, where thereby we will verify. Yeah, the modeling part is concerned with analyzing the observation. So we can build models in three ways. So models that describe the behavior or results observed, models that explain why something has happened, and models that will predict, isn't it? So this way we can have models that shows the behavior, the parameter, how something is behaving in some other way, and why models can be built to explain certain phenomenon, how that is actually happening. So because we want to study something, we want to study how light travels through air, how light travels through water, or how anything, isn't it? So these are three ways: models that describe, models that explain, models that predict. These predictions are often followed by observations that serve either to validate the model or to suggest reasons. So definitely in the diagram you can see a looping, iterative structure. So iterative structure or looping. I explained this. It goes from the conceptual world, again it goes to the real world, and again it comes back to the conceptual world. Again it goes to the real world, and as many times as required until we are satisfied with the model, until what we are trying to prove, what we are trying to prove, because what is the purpose of the model, and if the purpose of the model is met, then we will stop, then the iteration stops. Mathematical modeling and the practice of engineering, engineers are interested in designing devices, processes, and systems. Beyond observing how the world works, engineers are interested in creating artifacts that have not yet come to life. Yeah, new artifacts, new items, new inventions. Engineers are interested in. Engineers need to model devices and processes if they are going to design those devices. Models are applied to predict what will happen. When the pressure is changed, what will happen? When the temperature is changed, what will happen? When the maximum speed of operation. Every new building or airplane, for example, represents a model-based prediction that the building will stand or airplane will fly without unanticipated consequences. So how do we make sure that this tall building of 50-story 50-storied building, it will last for say some years, or it will be lasting, and it will be surviving an earthquake. It can stand an earthquake or some natural calamity. So there we will use mathematical modeling, isn't it? We will consider the impact of this one earthquake, and we will also consider how the building is constructed, its structure, what are the factors which contributes to the strength of the building, maybe foundation, maybe wall, maybe pillars, maybe the type of material, maybe the type of mixing, maybe the type of method, maybe a new technology, maybe a proven technology which has applied it in the construction of the buildings altogether. So there is a model, and that model will predict, or based on the model we can say, yeah, this model, this building will last for say some years, and it will be surviving some other untoward incidences, natural calamities. Now let us see some of the principles of mathematical modeling. Mathematical modeling is a principled activity that has both principles and also some methods to be applied. So the principles are phrased as questions about the intentions and purpose of this. These principles are philosophical. The basic philosophical approach is shown in the diagram. So here we talk about the basics of mathematical principles of mathematical modeling. So what are the basic principles of mathematical? The modeling principles are also captured in the following questions, list of questions. So why? What are we looking for? Identify the need for the model. So what are we trying to prove? So are we trying to build a new tire? So something like that. Find, what do we want to know? List the data we are seeking. Say for example, what is the maximum the pressure that this tire can sustain? Yeah, something like that. Given, what do we know? Identify the available relevant data. Yes, what do we know? So we know the temperature at which it is operated. We know the other external pressure, say for example. We know the type of material, isn't it, which we are going to make. Assume, what can we assume? Identify the circumstances that what are the assumptions we make? Yeah, certain assumptions about the working of the operation of car, as I told. How should we look at this model? Identify the governing physical principles. Then what are the physical principles? What are the physics? What are the laws? What are the equations that we will use here? So what are the principles in physics or mathematics or chemistry? Predict, what will our model predict? Identify the equations that will be used, the calculations that will be made, and the answers that will result. Valid. So are the predictions valid? So how do we know? So the model predicts that this tire can be operated at so and so temperature or so and so pressure. Are they valid? Identify the test that can be made to validate the model. So we should conduct some tests to validate the model, and we should conduct some prototypes of tires, and we should operate it at the predicted conditions, and we should verify it. So now the last one is verified. Are the predictions good? Identify tests that can be made to verify the model. So this way, these are the questions. So these are known as list of questions and answers. They are the modeling principles. They are the principles of mathematical modeling. So if you look at this diagram, this is the combination. This is with the diagram where we include all these questions. So first you have object or system, then you have model or variables or parameters, then you have model predictions, then you have valid accepted assumptions. In between, all the questions which we have right now discussed are placed accordingly. So first you start with the object, then you have why and find. What are we looking for and what do we want to know? Then that is the trigger which encourages this model. What are we looking for? Yes, I want to construct a new car, new tire. I want to make a new tire. I want to check for the viability of a new tire which offers maximum mileage and maximum running time. And what do we want to know? Yes, exactly. Some parameters, some type of material, which is the best material that can be used, or which is the maximum pressure, maximum temperature. It can be anything. You can use your logics. Given one problem, you can use your logic. So what I'm telling is a general outline of how to look at this, and what is the purpose of mathematical modeling, how mathematical modeling can be used, what are the underlying principles. So depending upon one situation, depending upon very other different situation, it will vary from time to time or situation to situation or case to case. Then we have a model. We have model. As I told, now we have a lot of variables, lot of parameters. Some of them will be known, some of them will be unknown. Then another question is how? How should we look at this model? Yeah, that points to model. Improve. How can we improve the model? Yes. Valid. Are the predictions valid? Yes. Based on the feedback. Predict. What will our model predict? Given, what do we know? Yeah. What can we assume? So what the given fact and assumptions? They are all put into some variables. And model predictions. Yeah, we conduct some tests to verify. Are the predictions good? Then valid accepted predictions. So valid accepted predictions will be used. How will we exercise the model? How will be used for actual purpose? So there our purpose is met. So we begin from a starting point and we end with a valid accepted predictions. So in between you have so many steps. And during those so many steps or so many stages, we have answers for all these questions, isn't it? So that is how we interpret this diagram. So many questions which are the principles of mathematical modeling, and we try to answer those questions at some stage or different stage of the mathematical modeling. That is why we start with the objective of the system, and finally we come with the prediction. Is this clear? Is this idea clear? Fundamental principles of mathematical modeling. All of you give feedback. Yeah, Don Maria, yes. What about others? Aditya, Natasha, yes. Anupama, Sneha, Srived, yes. Anybody did not understand, you may please ask. I will explain again. Alina, Kiran, Nirmal, Anisha, everybody. Alina, Sharanya. Thank you all for your response. So we'll move ahead. Yeah, principles. So this I will share some other textbook, some other PDF for studying this mathematical modeling, and that also you read. Already I have shared with you some one textbook that I told at that time, that is for third module. So apart from that textbook, you can use this material also, which I will share today, and that is a good material that also you can read to get a grip of this mathematical modeling. Yeah, then finally this one improve question, that how can we improve the model? Identify parameters that are not adequately known, variables that should have been included. That means in the initial experiment, in the initial modeling, we missed some parameters. Then only based on the test we can say that, oh, that variable I should have included. That could have been a wonderful idea to include that parameter to, and assumptions, restrictions that could be lifted, because now I come to know the assumption is wrong. The restriction which I imposed on the design is wrong. So I modify the assumption, or I will make a new assumptions, and that is how it makes the iterative loop that we call model, validate, verify, improve, predict. This way, that predict means final prediction. You have a model, in between also you have prediction, but the predict here is the final prediction, the correct, the verified predict. So you have a model, then you validate the model, then you verify it, then you improve. If improve means if you want improvement, otherwise it is not a mandatory, because in the initial stage itself, if your mathematical model is perfect, you included everything, you include all parameters, and you got a desired output, then you don't need to improve. So that is optional. And finally the predict. So it is theoretically it is an iterative process. Use how we will exercise this model, and what will we do with the model. How we are going to use the output of the model, the predicted model, the verified data, the verified parameters. The list of questions and underlying areas are key to mathematical modeling. Having a clear picture of why the model is wanted or needed is of prime importance to the model building process. So that is very important for you also, for students also. Having a clear picture of why the model is required. Why do we need a mathematical model? What is that we are trying to do? Yes, that is quite important. Suppose you want to estimate how much power could be generated by a dam. So consider the scenario. We want to estimate how much power could be generated by a dam. So for the first estimate, we didn't need to model the dam's thickness or the strength of its foundation. So what is that we are interested in? That is what is the purpose of the model. Here the purpose of the model is we want to know what is the maximum power, how much power could be generated by a dam. So when so of course its height, because when water falls from a height, its static energy is converted into some kinetic energy, and that will run the turbine, and finally the turbines will be connected to some mechanism where you have electrical energy. So kinetic energy is converted to electrical energy. So there we are especially interested in the height of the dam. Height would be an essential parameter of a power model, as would some other power model. But in the power model, we are not interested in the dam's thickness or the strength of its foundation. Definitely not. How thick the dam is, how thick the wall of the dam is, or shutters, how thick it is, or the strength of its foundation when it is built, what material is used. We are not interested. Why we are not interested at this point of time? Because here our objective is just to estimate the power, just to estimate the power generated by the dam. So we are interested only in height and the related parameters, not on thickness and the strength of the foundation. But if on the other hand, now you consider a second scenario, we want to design an actual dam. Now we want to construct a new dam. There, we would need a model that incorporates all physical characteristics of the dam. Say, for example, dimension, the type of material, foundations, and dam site, where it is located, and river flow conditions, at what speed, what are the conditions of a river and river flow. All those parameters we will consider. Only then we can have a reliable design of the dam. So the second case, the mathematical model is different. What I'm telling is the first case mathematical model is different. In the first case, the parameters considered are different. The second case, parameters considered are different. Why they are different? Why the models are different? Because the objectives were different. The purpose of building the mathematical models were different. That is why we considered different scenario, different parameters, different situation. So defining the task is the first essential step in model formulation. Defining the task. What is that we are interested in? What is that we would like to achieve? What is that we would try to prove? Is this clear to you? All of you, clear to you? Give some feedback. Hello, if you understand, yes, please tell me. Understand? Yes. Yeah, because that will show me whether you have understood or not. Okay. Yeah, then we'll move ahead. We will go on. We then should list what we know. For example, river flow quantities and desired power levels as a basis for listing the variables or parameters that are yet unknown. We should also list any relevant assumptions. For example, levels of desired power may be linked to demographic or economic data. So any assumptions made about population and economic growth, assumptions about the consistency of river flows and the statistics of flooding should also be spelled out, because how many times natural flooding has happened in the past, or is it a place where flooding is possible, floodings are likely to occur. Which physical properties are present in this model? The matter of the river's water must be conserved. I'm giving some examples. The mass of the river's water must be conserved, as must its momentum. As the river flows, the energy is both dissipated and redirected as water is allowed to flow through turbines in the dam. Mass must be conserved. So we are using physics within some undefined system boundary, because dams do accumulate water mass from flowing rivers. There are well-known equations that correspond to these physical principles. They could be used to develop an estimate of dam height as a function of power desired. We can validate the model by ensuring that our equations and calculated results have the proper dimensions. We can exercise the model against data from existing hydroelectric dams to get empirical data. So that is also important. So we can validate the model. How do we validate the model? We have a dam, model of a dam, and it is giving certain outputs because we have used the physics of hydrostatic energy, or laws of physics, or laws of conservation of energy, and other related laws and principles and equations. And finally, we have proved that, okay, this is unknown variable, this is the prediction. So we can verify the model, by validate the model by taking data from existing hydroelectric dam. So we have another dam which has some features. So there, this is the feature we are considering. There the height is this one and the power generated is this one. So here, when I verify the height or some other parameter, what would be the projection, what will be the prediction? So empirical data and validation. So if you find that our model is inadequate, then we enter a loop which we cycle back to an early stage of the model building and re-examine assumption. Or non-parameter value will change. We will change the principles, or we will change the equations. We will change the means of calculation. This iterative process is essential because it is the only way that models can be improved, corrected, and validated. The models can be improved, corrected, and validated only through this iterative step, only through this looping. Okay, is this clear? Hello, everybody. Is this clear to all of you? So what I was trying to give is, or what we have been discussing as introduction, or some basics of mathematical modeling. Okay, basics of mathematical modeling, and how mathematical modeling is important, how it helps in the invention of new device or new system, new process, new objects. Okay, so I will stop today. We'll continue Friday. We'll continue mathematical modeling next class.